Alright guys, so we have a bit of an update on Julian Assange, and you've probably noticed the timestamp down the bottom left. I'll just deal with that first. The timestamp, I believe what's happened is when they've recorded this, they haven't changed the date. They've recorded it in 2019. It was uploaded on the 7th of June 2019. He is in Belmarsh prison, as you can see in here. I do believe that this is just an error on the date. Mainly because when you go through and actually look at the rest of RT's footage, some of them don't actually have the date on there. So I do believe that this date is just an error on the timestamp. But people are asking questions, and I will go through and obviously address that situation at first. So presuming this video is honest, and presuming this video is legit, because it was tweeted out by Wikileaks literally only a day or two ago, Julian Assange, a leaked video or a RT video has come out showing his life in Belmarsh prison. So we're going to go through and we're going to play some of this for you now. It's quite interesting because it actually shows Julian Assange in quite good spirits. So let's go through and let's talk about this.
Hold time. You finished, you should have used the broom and the mop.
I'll turn it up for you. Oh, I can't.
Huh? Oh, they're gonna paint your room.
Yeah, and they keep saying they're coming, but they don't come in 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and they want you got these balls, yeah? I need to get down one ball as well, otherwise they're gonna.
So you can see from the video, guys, he looks like he's well treated. He looks like he's in good spirits. He's got someone cleaning his plates for him. It looks like he's well respected in the prison. That's obviously just a guess, but from what we can see, there's no one getting in his face. Prisoners seem to be respecting him for what he has done. So like I say, it looks like it's a pretty decent scenario, as much as it can be. And obviously Julian is looking a lot better than he was when they dragged him out of the embassy. I will put a link to the video description below. Like I say, as for the date, I think that was just an error on the camera. I think that when they've lost the battery or something, they've reset the date. They've had to change the date, whatever it may be, for some reason. As far as I know, this date, back in 2017, Julian wasn't in Belmarsh prison, and this is definitely a prison. He was in the Ecuadorian embassy. So I think this is just a glitch on their error. It's just an error on their camera where they've just set the wrong date by accident. It's probably a stock standard RT camera, or a Ridley camera, where they just basically grabbed it off the shelf, and they probably have a whole bunch of them, and they just have the wrong date set on this one for some reason. Maybe someone, when they set the date, didn't change the year. Whatever it may be. I'm presuming they're honest. I'm presuming this is a legit video. Because also RT has also talked about it in another video that was literally uploaded a day or two ago. RT. So let me actually just search for Julian Assange. Prison video. So here's a video 3 days ago to give you an idea.
First then, RT takes a glimpse into Julian Assange's life behind bars. Our video agency, Rupley, has exclusive video for you of the Wikileaks co-founder inside London's Belmarsh prison. The camera catches the whistleblower chatting with his fellow inmates in the high-security prison, where he's serving a 50-week sentence for skipping bail.
Now, you will notice down here, you can't see the timestamp. It is possible it could be hidden behind that, but You would expect some of it to be showing under the bottom if that was the case. So maybe this timestamp was added as a later date. I'm not quite sure.
First footage
But
since
here they are,
Assange's
yeah.
arrest and removal from the Ecuador
Talking
embassy in
about
London
it,
almost 2 months
talking
ago.
about the video,
WikiLeaks
and this was only
co-founders
uploaded 3 days
waiting
ago.
for an extradition hearing scheduled
So,
for June the 12th.
I presume
He's
they're
wanted by
honest when it
Washington
comes to
on
this
charges of
video
soliciting
being
and publishing
recent.
classified
So.
US government.
Also, apart from that, guys, Ollie obviously also dealing with Julian Assange. His father has come through. He has given a visit to Julian Assange, and he has also talked to Ethe out the front. So let's
Well,
play
he
that.
doesn't have access to computers. There's only 2 social visits each month. This is, and often there are overlaps. So last week was an overlap for a medical appointment, so I had to wait until this week. So that the visiting hours are very, very precious. Sorry, I'm a bit upset. Yes, it's my first visit, yes.
So there's that as well. There was also another video that was given where he actually goes into more detail.
It's just very moving to see Julian, particularly in those circumstances of coming out of sick bay and having lost 10 kilograms weight. And I think he'll be all right. You know, bosses me around. That's all right. Good shows spirit.
You say you shared a hug with him today. How was that?
Well, it was a bit moving, and yeah, a bit moving. It's not a hug that you want to end. You actually want to carry him out here with you. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, look, obviously it's not an ideal situation. At the end of the day, obviously, it kind of sucks that Julian is in there. This is interesting too.
And his condition is shaking. He's much skinnier than before. I guess he lost about 20 pounds at least, and he's under psychological stress, pressure, and of course he doesn't know what is going to be happen next. But he's very happy to see his father, to see me, to see there's still people concerned about his condition. From what the U.S.'s temptation, we can see clearly U.S. is this kind of decision violates First Amendment and is really cracked down on the freedom of speech, freedom of press, and will be a big violation, and will make all the investigation press very difficult in the future.
What did you talk about when you were in there? Did you try and give him words of encouragement?
I would say yes. We talk about the current political situation, and we talk about how fragile the human rights conditions in the world today, and especially in Europe and in Great Britain, because he's an Australian citizen being held in the.
So in case you're wondering who this guy is, and I've just had to Google it himself, his name's Al Weird. Al Weird is a Chinese contemporary artist and activist. His father's original surname was written as Zhang El, collaborated with Swiss architect Hans Mendes, I'm getting that wrong, the artistic consultant on the Berlin Stadium for the 2008 Summer Olympics. As a political activist, he's highly and openly critical of Chinese government stances on democracy and human rights. He's investigated government corruption and cover-ups, in particular the Strong School cooperation scandal following the collapse of so-called two drug schools in 2008. In 2011, following his arrest at Beijing Capital International Airport on the 3rd, he was held for 81 days without any official charges being filed. So that's obviously why he's talking about Julian, because he's been on the other side of the prison fence, so to speak. But yeah, obviously at the moment he's a political activist, and obviously he's fighting on behalf of Julian Assange. I'll just bring this article up for you guys now. This one here. So, Chinese artist Al Weiying visits Julian Assange in prison as US sends Britain a formal request to extradite him for leaking military secrets. And obviously that's his father and obviously the artist there, Al Weiying. So, yeah, let's keep going.
In Europe or in Britain. And
we might skip along to his father's
lost
interview.
about 10 kilos weight, and he's psychologically under a lot of stress and pressure, but he's determined and spirit's very strong, and he'll be back in the fight very soon. There are some problems in being here in that it's impossible to prepare a case because you only get 2 social visits a month and no access to the library or no access to computers. So it's extremely difficult to prepare a case in those circumstances. I would like the Australian government to diplomatically defend an Australian citizen, Julian Assange, when victimised by the Crown Prosecuting Authority, the Swedish Prosecuting Service, and other things. Clearly,
on that, I would agree with his father. I reckon the Australian government owes Julian a right. As a former citizen, he's not a citizen anymore because he left it. He left the Australian citizen and became an Ecuadorian citizen because he wasn't getting anywhere with the Australians. They weren't defending him. I think Australia owes Julian definitely a right to defend him. I think at the end of the day that Australia owes Julian, to quote Trump, bigly. So yeah, I definitely think the Australian embassy should, or the Australian diplomats should be acting on behalf of Julian Assange.
Julian didn't have freedom of movement. It would be expecting somebody in a rubber boat to hop out into a shark pool. Julian dragged out, and now 3 hours later in court, a man who hadn't seen the sun for 7 years, in court 3 hours later after being dragooned out of the Ecuadorian embassy. I would like the Australian government to involve itself in these offences against an Australian citizen.
After today's visit, how concerned are you about your son and about his health?
I think his health, I understand that Julian's health is stabilised now, and his weight loss has stopped, so he'll be moving back into the prison population. All journalists should be involved because this is extraterritorial actions of the United States against somebody who's not even a citizen of the United States. So all journalists ought to be concerned. Julian presently is an icon for what will happen and what is happening to journalists all over the Western world at the moment. Just the other day, a journalist from the ABC offices in Sydney were raided. That's last week. The week before,
I was actually going to talk about that yesterday. It got pushed back because of the maintenance and everything, guys. So the renovations. So yeah, I did want to talk about that. I want to talk about it over the weekend. I do want to talk about that because that is a big story that no one is talking about. Mainly because you could possibly face jail time. So I do want to talk about it. If I do talk about it and then I suddenly go disappearing, please come and visit me in prison. And I'm not joking about that last part. I really do want you to come and visit me in prison. Actually, bake me a cake and make sure you put a file, like a hacksaw or something blade, in the cake so I can get out. Would be great. Thanks.
a Daily Telegraph journalist raided in Australia. So this is an example for all of
I will be doing a story about that, possibly, maybe Friday night.
you guys. If Julian goes down, the rest of you do.
And it's true. That is absolutely true. If Julian goes down for this, they can then go through and set this as a precedent for everybody else. And every media organisation should be concerned about this. I don't care if you like Julian Assange or not, but you should be defending his right to be a journalist. But obviously mainstream media, well, establishment media at least, is going through and not talking about this because they're establishment. It's funny, even the YouTube sphere, everybody will sit there and jump up and down and go, yeah, me freedom of speech, and everything like that. You know, Crowder will go on about the censorship of, you know, his channel. You know, Phil DeFranco will go on about him being, you know, listed as alt-right in this publication thing and going on about that. And everybody goes on about, you know, oh, if they called Phil DeFranco alt-right, yeah, okay. But how many of these people are talking about Julian Assange right now? There's 2 or 3 people that I've followed, that I've subscribed to, that I know are talking about Julian Assange, and I'm one of them. Me, I think The Outer Light is still talking about him, which obviously full credit to him to doing that. Apart from that, I know Jimmy Dawes talking about him. Is anybody else finding it really, really weird that the three anti-establishments on the internet are the only ones talking about Julian Assange? Where is everybody else? Where is Crowder? Where is Mark Dice? Where is Paul Joseph Watson or InfoWars? I believe InfoWars is probably doing stories on it, but I haven't checked. I'll have to check that. You know, where is Phil DeFranco talking about Julian Assange? You know, these big YouTube channels with millions of subscribers. It's a little weird. They don't seem to want to talk about Julian Assange. You know? Maybe like someone's been threatening them and they're sort of playing ball. I don't know. Just a theory. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Apart from that, guys, obviously the video's been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we will see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.